Rain poured heavily over the old mountain town. Thunder rolled through the sky, shaking the windows of a small wooden cabin at the edge of the forest. Inside, Leo, a young man in his early 20s, was reading a book by the fireplace. He lived alone ever since his grandfather passed away. The cabin was quiet, simple, and surrounded by trees. Leo liked it that way, but tonight something was different. A sharp noise came from the barn outside. It sounded like metal falling, then a soft thud, like someone slipping. Leo put down his book and stood up. He listened. Another sound. This time a cough. Probably just a raccoon, he said to himself. But something inside him didn't believe that. He grabbed a flashlight and stepped out into the cold night. Rain hit his face as he ran toward the barn. The wooden door creaked as he pushed it open. "Hello?" he called out. "Anyone in here?" The flashlight's beam moved across the barn. Old tools, a pile of hay, empty shelves, nothing. He took a step forward. Then he saw. It's something or someone moved behind the haystack, slowly, carefully. "Hey ... It's okay," Leo said, his voice calm. "I won't hurt you." From behind the hay, a girl stepped out. But she wasn't just any girl. She looked human, but not fully. Her eyes glowed silver in the dark, and her long white hair shimmered like moonlight. Her skin was pale, almost shining, and water dripped from her soaked clothes. She looked scared, her body tense like a cornered animal. She stared at Leo with wide eyes. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "I single quotes am ... not your pet." Leo blinked in surprise. "I didn't say you were." The girl's eyes narrowed. "Don't touch me." "I won't," he said softly. "I promise." He carefully placed the flashlight on the ground and stepped back. Then he took off his jacket and laid it on a dry part of the floor. "You look cold. You can use this." The girl didn't move. "There's food too," Leo added, pulling a wrapped sandwich from his pocket. He placed it next to the jacket, then backed away again. She didn't say anything. She just stood there, watching him, breathing fast. Leo gave her a small nod. "I'll leave you alone. You can stay here if you want. No one comes around." With that, he walked back to the door and stepped outside, closing it gently behind him. The next morning, Leo returned. He carried a tray with warm tea, bread, and fruit. He opened the barn door slowly. She was still there. The girl sat in the corner, holding the jacket around her shoulders. The sandwich was gone. Her hair was dry now, and she didn't look as scared. But her eyes still watched him carefully. "I brought breakfast," Leo said. She didn't speak. He placed the tray on the ground and sat down a few feet away from her. Not too close. Just enough to talk. "I'm Leo," he said. "What's your name?" Silence. He tried again. "You don't have to tell me if you don't want. I just thought ... maybe it'd be nice to talk." The girl finally spoke, her voice quiet. "Nara." Leo smiled gently. "Nice to meet you, Nara." She didn't smile back. She pulled the jacket tighter. "Why did you help me?" "You looked like you needed it," he answered. "I didn't ask." "No," Leo said, "but sometimes people help just because they care. That's all." Nara stared at him like she didn't understand. "Where is this place?" "A small town, near the mountains. Not many people come here." "Good," she said. "I don't want to be seen." Leo nodded. "You don't have to worry. No one will find you here." She looked down. Her voice trembled. "They might. Who?" Leo asked. But Nara didn't answer. She turned her face away. Leo didn't press. He just sat there, silent, letting her feel safe. Over the next few days, Leo visited the barn every morning and evening. He brought food, blankets, and warm clothes. Nara never left the barn, but she began to speak more. Slowly, she told him little things. That she didn't like loud sounds, that she didn't sleep, that bright lights hurt her eyes. She said she was from far away. but didn't say where. Leo didn't push. He just listened. One evening, as rain fell again, Nara asked, "Why? Don't you fear me?" Leo looked at her. "Should I?" She paused. "Others did, when they saw what I am." He shook his head. "You're just as different, but that doesn't mean bad." Nara's eyes softened a little. For the first time she looked less like a wild animal, and more like someone who had been alone for too long. She whispered, "I was made to serve." "But I escaped." Leo blinked. "You escaped?" Nara nodded. "They wanted to use us. I ran. I didn't want to be owned." Leo looked at her with respect. "You're brave." Nara looked surprised. "Brave?" "Yes," Leo said. "Very brave." She didn't know what to say. But she didn't turn away either. That night, Leo returned to the cabin. He looked up at the stars. Something had changed. This wasn't just about a strange visitor anymore. It was about trust. It was about someone who had never known freedom, learning what it meant to be treated as a person. And for Leo, it was just the beginning. Days passed. The rain stopped. The air grew colder. But Nara still stayed inside the barn. Leo came every day with food and small things. Books, blankets, an old radio that no longer worked. He never asked too many questions. He just wanted her to feel safe. One morning, he walked in with 2 cups of tea. Nara was sitting on a bale of hay, staring at the wall. "You sleep at all?" Leo asked, handing her a cup. She shook her head. "I don't sleep." Leo raised an eyebrow. "Ever?" "Not needed," she said. "My body keeps working. I was made like that." Leo sat down across from her. "You said that before." "That you were made." Nara held the warm cup but didn't drink. "Yes, not born like you. I was created." Leo didn't say anything. He let her speak at her own pace. "I remember waking up inside a white room," she continued. "Others like me were there. We didn't have names. Just numbers. I was 721, Leo frowned. "No name, no freedom?" "We were told to obey. We learned quickly. If we didn't follow orders, we were punished." Leo clenched his fists. "That's wrong." Nara nodded slowly. "I didn't know it was wrong at first. I thought that's how life worked." Then one day, a visitor came to the ship. A trader from another planet. He gave me a name by mistake. He called me Nara when I was serving him tea. I liked how it sounded. Leo smiled. "It suits you." I started thinking about names, about choices, about freedom. The others were scared. But I ran. She looked up at him. Her eyes were shining again, but not with light. With tears. "I don't know if I did the right thing," she whispered. "They're still out there, still trapped." Leo moved a little closer. "You did the right thing. You gave yourself a chance. Maybe now you can help the others too someday." Nara looked down at the floor. "But I'm still afraid." That evening, Leo brought her a sweater from his closet. It was soft and brown and a little too big for her. She held it in her hands and studied it like it was a strange object. "Why are you giving me so much?" "Because I want to," Leo replied. "I've never been given anything," she said quietly. "Only tasks." Leo laughed softly. "Well, wearing warm clothes when it's cold is not a task. It's comfort." She tried it on. It hung loosely around her, the sleeves too long. But she looked peaceful. That night, Leo left the barn and looked up at the stars. Something inside him felt warm. Nara wasn't just an alien anymore. She was a person with a past, a future, and a mind full of questions. The next day, Leo brought a small radio to the barn. "It doesn't work properly," he said. "But I thought you might like the parts." Nara touched it gently. "I like machines. You know how to fix them?" "I used to repair drone arms," she said. "I learned how things fit together." Leo smiled. "Go ahead, see what you can do." Nara took the back panel off and examined the wires. Her fingers moved fast, delicate, practiced, sure. She bent a few wires, adjusted a piece with the edge of a nail, and tightened a tiny screw using a broken tool Leo didn't even know she had. Then she pressed the button. Static filled the air. A crackle, a faint tune, then a voice. Leo blinked. "You actually got it working." Nara gave a small, proud smile. "Not fully, but enough. You're amazing." She looked confused. "Amazing?" "Yeah, smart, quick, skilled, and brave." Nara lowered her head, shy. "No one ever said that to me." "Well, they should have." Later that night, Leo turned on the porch light for a second, just to check if it was working. But the moment it lit up, he heard a loud cry from the barn. He rushed outside. Nara was crouched behind the haystack, covering her face, shaking. Hey, it's okay," Leo said, running toward her. He quickly turned the light off. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." Nara was breathing hard. "Too bright, it burns. It reminds me of the testing room." Leo crouched beside her, keeping a little space. "I won't turn it on again, I promise." Slowly she calmed down. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," Leo said gently. "You're not in that place now." Nara looked up at him, eyes wide. "Then where am I?" "You're here," he said, "in the mountains. With me, safe." A few more days passed. Nara got stronger. Her voice was clearer, her eyes brighter. She started asking questions about Earth, about trees, clouds, coffee, and books. Leo answered them all. She was especially curious about animals. "Do they obey you?" she asked. "Not always," Leo laughed. "They have their own minds." Then "Are they free?" "Yes," Leo said. "They're free. Just like people should be." Nara thought for a while. Then, "I want to be like that." Leo gave her a gentle smile. "You already are." She didn't speak again for a long time. But she didn't stop smiling either. That night, Nara sat near the barn door, watching the stars. Leo sat beside her. "Do you miss your home?" he asked. Nara shook her head. "I never had one." Leo looked at her. "You do now." She turned her head slowly, staring at him. Her silver eyes reflected the stars. "You're not scared of me," she whispered. "No, you don't want to control me." "Never, then. Why are you helping me?" Leo answered softly. "Because someone has to show you what being free really means." Nara stared at him for a long moment. Then, without saying a word, she leaned her head on his shoulder. She didn't need sleep. But for the first time, she closed her eyes, not in fear, but in peace. And Leo just sat there, watching the stars with her, knowing something important had begun. The sky was clear that night. No rain, no wind. Just stars, millions of them scattered, like tiny lights above the mountain cabin. Leo sat on the old wooden bench outside the barn. Beside him, Nara looked up at the stars. Her silver eyes shimmered, softly reflecting the night sky. "Do you ever wonder what's out there?" Leo asked. Nara didn't answer at first. Her gaze stayed fixed on one bright star. Then she spoke. "I already know." Leo turned his head. "You mean you've been there?" "Yes," she said. "Far beyond what you call your solar system. I've seen many worlds, but none like this." Leo smiled. "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" Nara thought for a moment. "It's strange. Earth is loud, dirty, full of unknowns. But it's also warm, soft, free." She looked down at her hands. "I was not free before. I was part of a program." Leo waited. He didn't interrupt. Nara continued. "We were created by the Zarellans. They are tall, sharp, and cold. They control many systems across the stars. My kind was made to serve them. Each of us had a task: cleaning, translating, building. Some were even used to test chemicals." Leo felt anger rise in his chest. "That's not right." No, Nara agreed. It is not. She paused, then looked at Leo with soft eyes. I was made to observe and record. I could remember everything I saw or heard. Perfect memory. They called me Recorder Unit 721. Leo frowned. But now you're Nara, she nodded. Yes, I chose that name. After I escaped. He leaned forward, interested. How did you escape? Nara looked back up at the stars. The Zarellans visited a planet for trade. There was an explosion at one of the docking stations. Chaos broke out. Guards were distracted. I ran. Leo's eyes widened. You got out during an emergency? Yes, she said. I stole a scout pod and flew without a course. I didn't know where I was going. I just wanted to be away. Leo shook his head in disbelief. And that pod brought you all the way here? Nara nodded slowly. It was damaged. I lost control. Near your atmosphere, the crash broke many parts. I walked for days before finding this place. She looked at him. I thought you would turn me in or use me. Leo's voice was gentle. I would never. Nara smiled softly. I know that now. Later that night, Nara asked Leo if he had a map of the stars. He went inside and brought out an old stargazing book his grandfather used. The pages were yellow, but the drawings of constellations were still clear. Nara traced her finger across a sketch of the night sky. This one, she said, pointing at a cluster of stars. That's near where the Zarellans' home world is. Leo leaned in. So they're still out. There. Still looking for you? Yes, Nara said quietly. They do not let their creations go. Leo looked worried. Then we need to be careful. I've been careful, Nara said. But if they catch me, they'll erase my thoughts. I'll forget everything. Even you. Leo's heart sank. The idea of Nara forgetting who she was, forgetting Earth, forgetting their quiet talks was painful. He spoke firmly. That won't happen. Not while I'm here. Nara looked at him. Why do you care so much? Leo didn't have an easy answer. He simply said, because you're not just an alien, you're a person. You deserve more. The next morning, Nara asked to see more of the forest. Leo agreed, but told her to stay close. He gave her one of his caps to wear, just in case someone passed by. They walked among the tall trees. Birds flew between branches. Sunlight peeked through the leaves. Nara ran her fingers across the bark of a tree. Everything here is alive, and no one tells it what to do. Leo chuckled. Nature's like that, wild but honest. Nara stopped by a stream and knelt to touch the water. She smiled. This place feels like a dream. Leo sat on a rock nearby. Then I hope you never wake up. For a while they just listened to the forest. No words. Just peace. That evening back in the barn, Nara started fixing the old radio again. But this time, she didn't just adjust it. She added something. Leo watched her work. What are you doing? I'm making a signal, she replied. Message to anyone out there who's listening. Leo's eyes widened. Won't that be dangerous? Nara looked up at him. It might be, but I need to try. Try what? She took a breath. To contact others like me, those who escaped, those who are hiding. Leo was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded. I understand. Nara placed her hand over the small speaker. Maybe, if they hear my voice, they'll know they're not alone. Leo gave her a gentle smile. Just promise me one thing. What? Don't go without telling me. Nara looked surprised. You would miss me? Of course, Leo said. You're my friend. Her eyes shimmered again, not with light but with emotion. I never had a friend before, she said softly. Well, Leo said, now you do. That night, the stars above seemed to shine brighter than ever. Nara stood at the barn door, holding the small radio close to her chest. A gentle signal pulsed from the device, a quiet voice sent far into the universe. She spoke into it. This is Nara. I was once Unit 721. I escaped. I'm free now. You can be too. Leo stood beside her. Do you think they'll hear it? Nara nodded. Someone will. The night was quiet. The forest around the cabin slept under the blanket of stars. A soft wind moved through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and fresh earth. Inside the barn, Nara sat with the small radio beside her. It gave off a soft blue light as it continued to send her signal into the sky. Leo sat nearby, repairing an old lantern. It's been 3 days since the signal went out. Nara said quietly. Leo looked up. No answers yet. She shook her head. Not yet. But something is coming. I can feel it. Leo stood and walked to the barn door. He looked out into the forest. Everything looked peaceful. But Nara had never been wrong before. He turned back to her. If someone is coming, we'll be ready. Nara looked worried. They won't talk. They'll just take me. Like property. Leo clenched his fists. Not while I'm here. The next morning, the peace broke. Leo stepped outside to fetch firewood. As he reached for a log, a shadow passed over the ground. He looked up and froze. A large shape moved across the sky, silent and smooth. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't a plane. It was a ship, gray and sharp-edged, with blinking red lights along its body. It hovered for just a moment, then disappeared into the clouds. Leo dropped the log and ran back to the barn. Nara! He shouted as he burst through the door. She stood still, her face pale. They found me. Are you sure it was them? Yes, that ship belongs to the Zarellans. Leo grabbed his backpack and began packing quickly. Then we have to move. Now Nara didn't move. They'll track me anywhere. Leo paused. Then we don't run. We hide you. I lead them away. You can't fight them. I don't need to fight, he said. I just need to distract. They moved quickly. Nara followed Leo deep into the forest. He showed her a hidden place near the rocky hill. Behind the cabin. It was a narrow cave, hidden behind thick bushes. Stay here, Leo said. I'll come back once I throw them off. Nara grabbed his arm. What if they hurt you? Leo looked into her eyes. I'll be fine. I've been climbing these hills since I was a kid. They won't catch me. Nara didn't look convinced. But she let him go. Back at the cabin, Leo made it look like someone was still living inside. He left lights on, started a small fire, and opened the barn door wide. Then he set up distractions, false tracks leading away, small mirrors to reflect light, and a noise trap that would trigger if someone came too close. He took one last look around, then disappeared into the woods again. By nightfall, the sky changed. Bright lights appeared between the trees. Not flashlights. Not human. They were search drones, silent machines with spinning eyes and glowing sensors. They moved slowly, scanning everything. From the cave, Nara watched them through a small crack in the rocks. Her heart pounded. She stayed hidden, like Leo told her. Suddenly, a loud sound came from the opposite side of the forest. A crash, then a burst of light. The drones turned and moved toward the sound. Leo's plan was working. He had triggered one of his traps. Now he was in danger, far from the cave. Leo moved quickly between trees. He had thrown a rock into one of his mirror traps, making it flash and explode with sparks. Now he was running, hoping the drones would follow the light and not his trail. The Zarellans were smarter than he expected. One of their soldiers spotted movement. A tall figure, wearing silver armor, stepped into the path ahead of Leo. Leo stopped, breathing hard. The soldier pointed a strange weapon at him. Stop, identify, the voice said. Metallic and cold. Leo raised his hands. I'm just a guy. I live here. The soldier scanned him. Human, no threat. Right, no threat. Just picking mushrooms, Leo said, trying to stay calm. The soldier didn't laugh. Where is the unit? Leo blinked. The what? The escaped unit. Class 721. I don't know what you're talking about, Leo said. The soldier stared at him for a few seconds, then turned away. Leave the area, it is unsafe. Leo slowly backed away, then turned and walked carefully, not running, not speaking. But once he was out of sight, he sprinted through the woods. Back in the cave, Nara sat with her knees pulled to her chest. Hours passed, the sounds faded. The lights moved away, then a rustle. She looked up sharply, her eyes glowing slightly in the dark. It's me, Leo whispered. Nara rushed to the cave entrance. You're okay? Yeah, barely. One of them saw me, but they didn't think I was helping you. I told them I was looking for mushrooms. Nara stared at him. Mushrooms? Leo grinned. Well, they believed it. She looked at him with something more than relief. She looked at him with trust. Deep, silent trust. That night, they didn't go back to the cabin. They stayed in the cave. Leo started a small, hidden fire. Nara leaned against the wall, her eyes watching the flames dance. They'll come back, she said softly. I know. They won't stop. I won't either. Leo replied. Nara looked at him. Why do you keep helping me? Leo didn't answer right away. Then he said, because you're not something to run from. You're someone worth standing with. She turned her head slowly. Even if it means getting hurt, Leo nodded. Even then. She didn't say another word, but she leaned her head gently against his shoulder. The forest was quiet again. The chase had begun, but so had something else. The sun rose slowly over the mountain trees, painting the sky in soft orange and gold. Birds began to sing. The forest, once filled with fear, now felt calm again. Nara stepped out of the cave and looked up at the light breaking through the leaves. She closed her eyes and breathed in deeply. The fresh air filled her lungs. It was the kind of morning she had never known before she met Leo. Leo stood nearby, warming his hands over a small fire. He looked tired, but he smiled when he saw her. Sleep okay? He asked. Nara shook her head. I don't sleep, remember? Right, Leo said, chuckling. Still hard to get used to. She stepped closer and sat beside him. But I rested. My body feels better. Leo handed her a piece of bread and a warm drink he had made from herbs. Good. We'll need our strength. We can't stay in this cave forever. Nara stared into the fire. Where will we go? We'll think of something. A place far from towns. Maybe underground for a while, or near the lake. I have a few ideas. Nara didn't answer. She held the cup tightly in her hands. Then she said, Leo, I don't want to keep running. He looked at her. I don't either. But I'm not going to let them take you. Her voice was quiet. I don't want to be a secret forever. Leo placed a hand gently over hers. You won't be, I promise. After breakfast, they returned carefully to the cabin. The area was quiet. No drones, no soldiers. Just trees and birds. The barn was untouched. The fire in the cabin had gone out. But everything else was still in place. They entered quickly. Leo checked the traps while Nara stood at the window, watching the sky. Once they were sure it was safe, Leo said, Let's make this a real home for you. Nara turned. What do you mean? I mean no more hiding in corners. No more acting like you don't belong. This is your space too now. You can live here like anyone else. Nara looked unsure. I've never had a home, Leo smiled. Then it's time to learn. Over the next few days, Nara began to explore more. Leo showed her how to cook simple things like soup and rice. The first time she burned the pot, she panicked. But Leo laughed and showed her how to clean it. He gave her old clothes from storage. She tried them on, unsure about colors and shapes. But soon, she picked out a long green sweater and a soft scarf she liked. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. He taught her how to read earth books. At first, the words confused her, but she learned fast. Within 2 days, she had already finished one whole book about animals. I like wolves, she said. They stay in packs. They protect each other. Leo nodded. You're kind of like a wolf now. She gave him a small smile. Then I want to protect too. One evening, Leo found her sitting in front of the old radio again. She had taken it apart and added strange pieces to it, wires from her crashed pod, glowing metal, and small crystals he didn't recognize. What are you building? He asked. A better signal, Nara said, but not just for help. For connection. Leo sat beside her. You mean to reach others like you? Nara nodded. Yes, I want to tell them what I've learned here about freedom, about Earth, about being more than what we were made for. Leo looked at her with pride. You've changed a lot. She turned to him. You helped me change. No, he said gently. You changed because you're strong. I just reminded you. Later that night, as they sat under the stars again, Nara asked a question. What does it mean to be free? Leo thought for a moment. It means you choose what to do, who to be, where to go. Nara looked up at the sky. Before I met you, I didn't even know I was trapped. That's what they wanted, Leo said. To keep you from thinking, from dreaming. She leaned back on the wooden bench. Now I dream every day. Leo smiled. What do you dream about? Flying, she said. Not in a ship. Just flying through the sky. With nothing holding me back. He looked at her. One day, maybe you will. She turned her head. You're part of that dream now. Leo felt his heart beat a little faster. Me? Yes, she said. You didn't treat me like a tool. You didn't try to fix me. You just saw me. Leo's voice was soft. Because you're worth seeing. The next morning, a surprise came. The radio, her new signal machine, crackled. Then a voice came through. A soft, uncertain voice. This is Unit 324. I mean Lyra. I heard your message. You escaped too? Nara's eyes lit up. She pressed the button. Yes, I'm Nara. You're not alone. More crackles. Then another voice. This is Dren, Unit 408. I'm in hiding. I thought I was the last. One by one, others responded. Some from moons, some from hidden ships. Each one was like Nara created, controlled, and now lost. Nara looked at Leo. They heard me. He smiled. You gave them hope. That evening, Nara sat on the cabin porch with Leo. Her eyes were bright with joy. For the first time, she said, I don't feel like a machine. I feel alive. Leo looked at her. You are alive. And you're not anyone's pet. You never were. She leaned her head on his shoulder. Then what am I? You're free, he said. And you're my friend. She smiled, closed her eyes, and whispered, That's more than I ever dreamed. And as the stars watched, from above, Nara, the girl who once had no name, began to live her new life, not as a tool, not as a number, but as someone finally learning what it meant to be free. The sky was clear, and the stars blinked quietly above the forest. Inside the cabin, the old radio made a soft clicking sound. It was running all night, sending and receiving signals from far across space. Nara sat beside it, listening carefully. Leo was asleep on the couch, covered in a blanket. She smiled at the peaceful look on his face. Suddenly, the signal changed. A voice came through, clearer than before. This is Marin of the Resistance. Message received. We are coming. Nara's eyes widened. She quickly tapped the speaker. Repeat. This is Nara. You heard my message? The voice answered. Yes. Your broadcast reached us. You are not alone anymore. A rescue team is on its way. Nara's hands trembled. She had hoped for this moment, but now that it was real, it felt unreal. Help was coming. People who understood her. People who had escaped too. People who were fighting back. Leo woke up from the sound and sat up. What's going on? Nara looked at him with shining eyes. They heard me, Leo. The Resistance. They're coming. Leo rubbed his eyes. That's good news, right? Nara nodded. Yes, but it also means others may have heard too, including them. Leo's face turned serious. Then we need to be ready. The next morning, they moved quickly. Leo dug out his grandfather's old hunting supplies. He set up warning wires, smoke traps, and a small lookout point in the trees. Nara helped with speed and precision, using her knowledge of technology to improve the radio's range, and set up motion detectors using pieces from her escape pod. By afternoon, they had turned the quiet cabin into a hidden base. Think this will work? Leo asked as they finished placing a sensor near the hill. Nara looked around. If someone steps within 50 feet, we'll know. Leo gave her a proud look. You've become a real survival expert, she smiled. I had a good teacher. They both paused. The moment was light, but the air felt heavy. Something was coming. They could both feel it. That evening, Nara stood at the porch, staring at the stars again. Leo joined her. Thinking? Yes, she said. About what happens next. He nodded. When the resistance comes? Yes, they might want me to leave Earth, to help others like me. Leo looked at her. What do you want? Nara didn't answer right away. I want to help them. I want to free the others still trapped, but I don't want to leave you. Leo's voice was gentle. Then don't choose yet. Wait until the time comes. She turned to him. Do you want me to stay? He hesitated, then said, I do. But I also want you to be free to choose. That's what this is all about, right? Nara smiled softly. You always remind me who I am. Late that night, something changed. A sharp tone rang from the radio. It wasn't the resistance this time. It was something colder, darker. This is Zarellan ship Tereth. You are holding stolen property. Turn it over now. Nora's body went stiff. Her hands clenched. Leo rushed to her side. Did they find us? Not yet, Nara whispered. But they're close. The voice continued. You have 12 hours to respond. After that, we will take back what belongs to us. Leo shut off the speaker. That's not going to happen. Nara looked shaken. They tracked my signal. I made it too strong. Leo shook his head. You did the right thing. The resistance is coming. You gave them hope. But now I've put you in danger. Leo stepped closer. You didn't. I chose to be part of this. Nara lowered her head. They will destroy this place. Then we fight, Leo said. We delay them. We hold out until the others arrive. Morning came fast. Clouds rolled in above the trees. The air was heavy, like it knew something was coming too. At noon, the first ship arrived. It broke through the clouds like a knife, sharp and quiet. It hovered above the edge of the forest, sending down drones shaped like dark spiders. They moved quickly, scanning everything. Nara and Leo stayed low in the cabin. One of the sensors beeped. They've entered the woods. Nara whispered. Leo grabbed a flare and whispered back, time to send our message. He lit the flare and tossed it outside. It burst into smoke, and the wind carried it through the trees. Far above, another ship appeared, this one smaller, brighter, and faster. It's them, Nara said. The resistance. The forest became a war zone in seconds. Drones buzzed. Beams of light shot across the sky. The Zarellan soldiers dropped down with metal suits and weapons. But the resistance fighters came too, wearing light armor and moving swiftly. One of them landed near the cabin. A woman with short hair and glowing gloves. Nara, she called out. I'm Marin. Nara stepped forward from the door. You heard my call. We all did, Marin said. You started something bigger than you know. Leo stepped beside her. They won't give up, Marin nodded. Then we finish this here. The fight was short but strong. With help from Leo's traps and Nara's knowledge of enemy tech, the resistance gained the upper hand. The Zarellans retreated fast, leaving behind sparks, smoke, and silence. When it was over, Nara stood in the middle of the clearing, breathing hard. The cabin was still standing. The trees were marked with burns, but they were safe. Marin walked up to her. "We need leaders like you. Will you come with us?" Nara turned to Leo. He didn't speak. He just looked at her with eyes that said everything. "You're free. It's your choice." Nara looked back at Marin. "I need time," Marin nodded. "Of course we'll be nearby. Call us when you're ready." Then the resistance ships rose back into the clouds. Later that evening, Nara and Leo sat on the porch again. The air was quiet. The sky was still. "You didn't have to stay," Leo said. "I know," Nara replied, "but I wanted to." He turned to her. "Why?" She smiled. "Because I'm not anyone's tool. I'm not a runaway. I'm not a number. I'm Nara. And right now, this is where I want to be." Leo smiled back. "Then welcome home." And for the first time, Nara felt something. Deep inside her, something powerful. Not fear, not confusion, not duty, belonging. The air was cool, and a light breeze moved through the trees. Sunlight touched the tops of the pines. Everything looked calm again. It had been 3 days since the Zarellan soldiers were defeated. The resistance had stayed close, hidden in a quiet valley beyond the mountains. They offered Nara a place among them. They wanted her to lead others like her, those who had escaped, those still searching for freedom. But Nara hadn't given an answer yet. Now, she sat on the cabin's front steps, watching the birds hop across the ground. Leo walked out with 2 mugs of warm tea and handed her one. "Thanks," she said softly. He sat beside her. "Have you decided?" Nara looked at the forest. "I keep thinking about it. If I go with them, I can help more people. I can use what I've learned. I can fight for others." Leo nodded. "You'd be great at that." She looked down. "But then I think about this place. About the sky, the trees, the way the fire sounds at night. And I think about you." Leo turned to her. "You don't owe me anything, Nara." "I know," she said. "That's what makes it harder. You gave me freedom. Now I have to choose what to do with it." Later that day, Nara went for a walk. She moved through the trees quietly, like the forest had become part of her. Birds didn't fly away when she passed. Squirrels watched from branches. The world didn't fear her anymore, and she didn't fear it either. She stopped by the stream. The same one she had touched weeks ago when Leo first brought her into the woods. She knelt down and placed her hand in the water. "I didn't know what peace felt like," she whispered. Behind her, a soft voice said, "Neither did I, until I met you." She turned. Leo stood with a small wooden box in his hands. "What's that?" she asked. He walked closer and opened it. Inside was a small necklace made of simple mountain stones. Nothing fancy. Just smooth, gray-blue stones tied together with string. "It's not much," Leo said, "but I made it for you." Nara touched it gently. "What does it mean?" Leo smiled. "It means you have a home here, no matter what you choose." She held it tightly. "Even if I leave? Even then?" She looked at him. Her eyes were soft. "You don't know how much this means to me." Leo gave a small laugh. "I think I'm starting to understand." That night, Nara sat by the fire inside the cabin. The flames danced gently. The radio was silent now. She had turned it off. Leo joined her and placed a blanket around her shoulders. "No signal tonight?" he asked. "No," she replied. "I don't need to send anything now." Leo leaned back. "That sounds like a decision." Nara looked into the fire. "It is." She turned to him. "I'm staying." Leo's heart jumped, but he kept his voice calm. "You're sure?" "Yes," she said. "The others have their fight, and I respect it. But my fight was to find out who I am. And here, I've found it." Leo looked at her with quiet pride. "Then welcome home, Nara." She smiled. "Thank you for everything." The next morning, Nara met with Marin from the Resistance one last time. I thought you might choose to stay, Marin said. There's something about this place, Nara nodded. And something about the people here. Marin handed her a small device. This connects to our private line. If you ever need help or change your mind, we'll be there. Nara took it. Thank you. Marin gave a friendly smile. You've already helped more than you know. Your message brought others together. You gave them hope. They said goodbye. The Resistance ship lifted quietly into the clouds and disappeared from sight. Weeks passed. The forest turned green and full of life. Nara helped Leo fix the barn roof. She planted seeds in the garden and learned how to make pancakes. She read more books and built a better signal detector, not for sending distress calls, but to watch the stars. Every evening, she and Leo sat on the porch, drinking tea or just watching the sky. Sometimes they talked about her old life. Sometimes they didn't speak at all. The silence was peaceful, not heavy. One day, Leo found her drawing in an old notebook. Pictures of the cabin, the stream, the stars, and him. You draw now? He asked. She looked up. I've never had time for it before. He smiled. You're full of surprises. I'm still learning, she said. What it means to live. One rainy afternoon, Nara stood at the window, watching droplets slide down the glass. Leo stood beside her. You know, she said, there was a time when I thought I would never feel safe, never feel real. Leo turned to her. And now? She looked into his eyes. Now I know I'm not a tool. I'm not a number. I'm not anyone's pet. She paused, then added with a small smile, I'm just Nara, and that's enough. Leo smiled warmly. It always was. That night, as the rain fell gently on the roof, Nara sat beside Leo by the fire. I never thanked you properly, she said. You don't have to, Leo replied. I want to, she said. You didn't save me with a weapon or a ship. You saved me with kindness. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. Leo looked at her, his voice low. You were never invisible, Nara. You just needed someone to remind you. She rested her head on his shoulder. Outside, the storm passed. The stars returned to the sky, calm and bright. And in a small cabin in the mountains, the girl who once ran from her past had found her future, not in escape, not in battle, but in choice, in peace. And in the simple warmth of being seen, the end.